Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the North Dakota Softball All-Stars High School Softball Podcast. A great show on tap for you today. We'll chat with Fargo North head coach Scott Carter, 2017 EDC Coach of the Year. A lot of good stuff to talk to Coach Carter about. We'll also head to Mayville. Chat with Mayville State head coach Ashley Vandeveen. Love the segment we're going to have with her talking about recruiting and what our athletes in North Dakota can be doing if they want to play college softball or really any sport in college. What you can be doing now, what coaches are looking for. Looking forward to chatting with Coach Vandeveen. But first, we get to take care of a little business in-house. You may know last year we played the first ever Shields Softball All-Star Series. Thank you so much to Shields for making that happen. Played out in Mandan the Monday after the state tournament. Came back and played in Fargo at Mickelson the Tuesday after the state tournament. And guess what? We are doing it again. Now, the dates and the order of the two cities, that's to be determined. But I'm excited to announce that we will be back at Mickelson in Fargo, a renovated field, additions to the field. It's going to be a fun location for the 2018 Shields Softball All-Star Series. And we're headed back to Mandan. Coach Jungling and the crew out there in Mandan helped us put together a fantastic event last year. Looking forward to heading back and doing this all again in 2018. So that's still a little ways off, but it's something to look forward to as we'll host our senior softball All-Star Series in Fargo and Mandan for the second consecutive season. So the North Dakota Softball All-Stars, we have a mission, and our mission is to help grow the game of softball in North Dakota through education, through opportunity, and through showcase. Of course, the All-Star Games are the showcase. The polls, the weekly polls that we do during the season, coaches' polls, those are a showcase and their education. We're going to talk to Coach Vandeveen from Mayville State later today. That's some good educational pieces. This is all stuff that we have been doing and we're excited to continue to do as a 501c3 nonprofit. And that's a big deal to us because it means that we are here to stay, and we're going to keep doing these types of things. This All-Star Game, this is just the beginning, or All-Star Series, I should say. These polls are a step in the PR process, getting more college softball and high school softball, most importantly high school softball, on those radios, in those newspapers, maybe even on TV. Those are things that we want to do as we continue to help grow the game of softball in North Dakota through education, through opportunity, and through showcase. And I know you're not really here to listen to just me, Tim Howe. I'm the studio host and the president of the North Dakota Softball All-Stars, but you're here today to listen to our guests, Ashley Vandeveen and Scott Carter. First, we're going to welcome to the program Fargo North head coach and the reigning EDC Coach of the Year, Scott Carter. Thanks for joining the program, Coach.
Thank you, Tim, very much for having me. My pleasure.
Yeah, looking forward to chatting. We'll start a little bit with your club, the Spartans. Last year you made it to the state tournament, had a very tight game with West Fargo in the EDC championship game. What do things look like for the 2018 edition of Fargo North?
Well, Tim, we lost some key pieces, of course. We lost who you had an all-star, with Sammy Trana, going and playing at Bemidji, but we lost, our battery as a whole. Alexis Webb was our catcher we lost last year. Danny Sanford played third base for us, and we had Lexi Limison, who was a real good role player for us. So we got some spots to fill, in that piece, but I think we're bringing some youth in again that have some experience that have played a lot of softball, whether it be in the summer or not. So, I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. It's all going to come down to kind of the basics of what it always is. You got to throw it, you got to hit it, you got to catch it. And if we can do that, I think we'll be okay.
And Fargo North plays its home games at Mickelson, which is where we had the East Side edition of the All-Star Series last year, and we're excited to be coming back to Mickelson again in 2018. There's been some improvements over the last year, but really if you rewind a handful of years, Mickelson is kind of gone through a transformation, hasn't it, Scott?
Yeah, it's a really nice place, just to enjoy the game. as you mentioned last year in the EDC championship game, it's everything that you want. On the championship, the main diamond field there, we had folks sitting up on the dike down there. We had the stands full. Pat Johnson works in the summer on the field, so it's just a gorgeous place to play. And as you mentioned, the improvements that are happening to the fields now, we've worked closely with the Park District to get it in better shape. So this year we'll have a new scoreboard, on the championship field there, the main diamond. We'll have a permanent flagpole for the anthem pieces of it. One huge thing for us with donations from some folks, we'll have a new batting cage at Mickelson this year as well. So when we do our tournaments, and of course you mentioned the state tournament coming in, we'll have really good warm-up facilities for teams. It's just really exciting. And of course, we have the lights there. It's just a really, really nice place to be. And I think it's going to get better. I think it's going to get better yet with some additional improvements.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I mean, if you rewind maybe a decade ago, mainly it was men's fast pitch down there. The fields were more conducive to that, and now you have 3 very usable softball fields for any level of women's and girls fast pitch. The 4th field certainly serviceable there as well. Even NDSU played some scrimmages there this fall. Maybe the field's a little bit short for the college game, but it's cool to see really such a nice facility be such a nice fit for the girls.
Yeah, absolutely. The only, really, Tim, when you look at it, the only drawback in Mickelson is, you do hear people wish that there was some better parking. It's something that we've tried to work on a little bit with folks as far as, maybe using Jack Williams parking lot or different places. But as you mentioned, the Bison played some fall ball down there with it. The one field, Mickelson, the revamp was kind of part of the dike build and a little bit of the divergent stuff that's going on. So the one field did get shortened up a little bit in left field. But again, we can paint it green and have a green monster. They elevated the fence. So it's kind of neat for the girls to get over there too and, start elevating the ball and trying to hit them out. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and for those of you who haven't been to what I've been calling the renovated Mickelson, you got a few chances this year. Of course, you can check out high school ball during the spring. Pat Johnson Summer League plays there all summer. You've got a North Dakota Class A state tournament there this year, and of course the All-Star game on the east side will again be at Mickelson. So looking forward to that. With Scott Carter here, the head coach at Fargo North. And Scott, when we first connected on this idea of an all-star game, probably about a year ago now, you were one of the many coaches who were excited in support of trying to continue to grow the game. And I know we, again, only fast forward a year, but how do you think this all-star opportunity and the kind of the PR that goes with it has and can help the game of softball in our state?
Well, for myself, Tim, I just really appreciate the effort that you put in and the passion that you put in around this, because as you look at the other sports, you have, Lions All-Stars or different things, and we never had that, and you really brought that to fruition. And I think it just brings our sport to an entirely different level and gets additional exposure, with our kids that they really deserve. And the games last year, I thought there was a good turnout. I thought, that the games going out and playing and being able to watch some of the talent that we have was just excellent. I'm looking forward to it again this year, but I just think that, it's tremendous for our sport.
And that's really the big thing. Our sport is just so young. It's in its infancy if you compare us to some of the neighboring states like, certainly Minnesota, get into Iowa, Wisconsin. They've been doing this a lot longer than us, so it's good to see the game grow. Speaking of, what do things look like for Fargo North for 2018 in terms of opponents, travel? I know you guys hosted a really cool tournament last year. Is that on the docket again? What do things look like there?
Yeah, we do have our tournament again. What we did something unique there with the Fargo Public Schools, so North South, Shanley and Davies, and brought in Class B teams. The Class B teams on this side of the state, of course, are just exceptional with that. So it was something a little unique where we called it the Clash. We had Class A versus Class B. It was a very, very good tournament. Again, good competition, good games. Prior to that, we host a JV Jamboree tournament for teams with their junior varsity groups that can come in and play, so they get some extra games in the tournament feel. We run it all down at Mickelson. The one thing that we are looking to change a little bit this year is one of the allures that I think that our girls don't get enough of is getting to play under the lights a little bit. There's a little bit different feel for that that I think makes it special, for the girls. So what we'll probably do this year is push back our start times a little bit, be able to do that, get some teams in, for that experience. But I'm really looking forward to that. As far as our conference schedule, it's, the EDC is, you've had West Fargo that of course has been the standard. And I think that the gap there is getting narrower as we go. But I've always said to our girls, if you don't show up to play on our conference schedule, you're going to get beat. The teams are just extremely competitive with that. And we saw that again last year with everybody. You have to show up. You have to be ready to play. I think the Grand Forks teams really improved at the end of the year as well. They kind of showed. I know Hannah Rose has Jeff Dodson up there helping her out, doing really good. Of course, you brought Cheyenne into the mix with Mark and his crew. And of course you got Becca doing a great job. So it's really exciting, and it's fun to be in a conference that's so competitive. We look forward to it, and we also then get some non-conference ones. Again, the Class B schools, or maybe get a trip to see some folks out west with either Century and Bismarck or those groups. So Travis Christensen, our AD, does a great job putting our schedule together for us, and that really helps as well.
He is Fargo North head coach Scott Carter. Thank you so much for joining the program, Coach.
Tim, thanks again and again. Thanks for everything you've done for our sport. I know I really appreciate it. Our program really appreciates it, and just continued success with it.
From high school softball at Fargo North, we transition north to college softball at Mayville State. Excited to bring on to the program fifth-year head coach at Mayville State, Ashley Vandeveen. Thanks for joining us, Coach.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, looking forward to talking to you. Certainly a little bit about kind of the college recruiting process and what athletes in North Dakota or neighboring states certainly can do if they want to play college softball. But first, since you're willing to come on the program, let's start and talk a little bit about Mayville State and what things look like for the upcoming season for your club.
Yeah. We're excited over here. I'm going into my fifth season here as head coach, and the past 4 years have been spent kind of rebuilding a program, rebuilding a culture, and just all around changing a lot of things. So my first season when I came on board, the year before that, the team had struggled a little bit, retention struggled. And so for the past 4 years, we've almost doubled our wins every season, and we've just started building a championship caliber team and building just a culture. So that's something I think by, building that culture and doing the little things right, the big things become right, and wins happen a lot easier, and in my opinion anyways.
And as you've been building your program, it's really looking for the right people. We have a lot of opportunity in North Dakota and in neighboring states to continue to play after high school, and we certainly have a lot of kids that are playing each year in North Dakota. So when you go out looking for the next Mayville State softball player, what are you looking for in a kid?
Yeah, that's something I get asked a lot. I think there's so much that goes into the recruiting aspect, and there's so many things that people get told, whether they're correct or incorrect, and I try and, just talk to people about how to get recruited. And the thing that I look for, when I go to a game and whether it's just, a Tuesday night game or if it's, the regionals or the state tournament, when I go to a game and, watch kids on the field, I don't go to the coach and say, who is your most talented player? Who's your best player? I look for myself and I look at the attitudes and the demeanor of the kids. When I see a kid strike out, I don't automatically cross her off my list because I know when a kid plays 4 years for me, they're going to strike out. They're going to make errors. They're going to fail at times. And I want a kid that has the attitude and has the motivation to be able to learn and to just want to be successful. I mean, attitude's something that I really can't fix when they come to me. If we need to fix a swing or we need to just, fine tune a few things, that's easy to do. But just kind of fixing attitude and demeanor is something that I can't do.
Now, there's a lot of education boiled into that 1 minute response, and that's one thing that we're trying to do with the North Dakota Softball All-Stars. It's about the opportunities, of course, with the showcase event that we have that ultimately is the All-Star Series. We're also trying to grow this game organically in North Dakota, and we're trying to grow through education, and things like this are valuable. And I think from working with kids, I have a feeling that several to a lot of them don't really know what the next step is when they've decided, maybe I want to play college softball or whatever sport that might be. If you had an opportunity right now to talk to that kid, what would your advice be? What are the steps that they should be taking on their end?
The biggest advice I can give is just being an advocate for yourself. A lot of times when coaches are at your game, there's, 18 other players on the field playing. There's, it's not just you. So you have to be an advocate and you have to get your name on that coach's radar, whether it's sending emails. And by sending an email, I don't mean saying, hey, coach, I'm so interested in your school. I'm so interested in your agricultural program when I don't have an agricultural program,
Right.
Being an advocate for yourself, knowing what the school is and making sure that it is a fit for you. So I think it's important to just get your name out there as much as you can and, take the campus visit and just being an advocate is the biggest advice I can give anyone.
We're talking to Ashley Vandeveen. She's the head coach at Mayville State. And where we play softball in our part of the country, we don't get the luxury of the long travel seasons. It's difficult to play outside of, the handful of months of the year that our kids are typically playing already. And so the debate is a little bit less that it would be maybe in the South. But in your estimation, how important are the travel teams? I know some people feel like they got to go play on a team in South Dakota in the summer or what have you. Or is it kind of the old adage that if you're good enough and you want to do this, coaches will find you?
I think if you're good enough and you want to do this, coaches will find you. I think travel ball is awesome and it's great. And I think it's an opportunity to just play more and have fun with that sport and just develop, new teammates and new coaches and all of that. I think that's great. But I think, just finding that program and, just getting coaches to come out and watch you and see you play and just being an advocate for yourself, I think is so important. But I think travel ball is good at the same point too.
How big of a role do you feel that the high school, or even if it's the travel ball coach, plays in the process of recruiting? If you have a coach reach out to you and say, I have player X, here's all the good things about her, because that's probably what you're going to hear, and she would love to play at your school, or she's interested in playing college. How does that compare to the athlete themselves actually reaching out to you?
You know what? I always like to get an email from the athlete themselves, obviously, because it shows just kind of a little bit of motivation on their end. But when I receive an email from a coach too, especially a coach that does, has so many good things to say. And again, it's not it's an email about their personality and their demeanor and their work ethic and then their talent. When I receive an email and it's just stat after stat after stat after stat, I want to know about the person and I want to know your character and, extra things that you do besides just playing softball. So I think emails from coaches are really important too. And I appreciate receiving those, especially when a coach goes out on the line for a kid. I think that's important.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about the All-Star Series. I know you got a chance to be part of the fun when we played in Fargo last year. You got to experience the first round of this, really the first attempt at it. And I know that it's pretty late in the process from a college recruiting standpoint, but what were some of your takeaways from attending the game in Fargo?
You know what? I had so much fun attending that event and calling the game with Chris Larson, and it was just an awesome atmosphere, to just see those high school seniors just get, one more opportunity to play, whether they were going on to play college softball somewhere or if that was kind of the last hurrah for them. I think that's just a really cool experience for them. It's good to kind of, if that was their last time ever kind of lacing up the cleats and playing, that's a really good hurrah for them. And then it's good for just exposure. Again, there are coaches that are recruiting late. There are, there's junior colleges that haven't signed at that point, NAIs that haven't signed kids at that point. And I think, that's kind of their last chance and last efforts to get coaches out to watch them. And it was a really good experience. I'm excited for years to come as this develops more and more.
And maybe we should rewind a step, talking about the North Dakota softball player and the abilities to grow during your time in North Dakota, high school programs, summer ball, what have you. But then we're talking about certainly going beyond. So from a Mayville State perspective, and I know you can't speak for all of the different college opportunities that we have in the state, but how heavily are you recruiting North Dakota, and how does that kind of line up for you? Because typically up here, like I said, we only have so many months to play. So you're playing and the high school games are playing, and how does that all kind of work for you?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes getting out to the high school games during the April month when you guys are kind of, the high school's really big into their season, and we're kind of, making up games left, right, and center. I try and get to as many games as I can, Class A and Class B games. And I really use the Class A and Class B regionals and state tournament to really get myself seeing people and spending the entire weekend out watching the kids play, because so often I don't get to watch the midweek games because we're traveling or we're making up a game and that sort of thing. So I think, I was at the Class B tournament this past year in Hillsboro or the Class B regionals in Hillsboro, and, there was a Division I coach there watching. And so I think, speaking for myself and speaking for what I've seen of colleges in North Dakota, we're actively recruiting the North Dakota kids, and we want to see those kids stay in the state, and we want to see those kids play at the next level.
Awesome stuff. A lot of information packed into 10 minutes, a lot of education from Mayville State head coach Ashley Vandeveen. Good luck this upcoming year, which isn't all that far away now, and thank you so much for joining the program.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
She is Ashley Vandeveen, head coach at Mayville State. Earlier in the program, we had a chance to chat with head coach of Fargo North, Scott Carter. And in case you missed it, we also got to announce that we're heading back to Mickelson in Fargo. We're heading back to Mandan. Those are the two sites of the 2018 Shields Softball All-Star Series. Looking forward to that. Of course, you can follow along on social media. Just search at NDSB All-Stars. That's NDSB All-Stars on both Facebook and Twitter. And you can find us at our website, ndsoftballallstars.com. That's a wrap on episode 2 of the North Dakota Softball All-Stars High School Softball Podcast. Thanks for listening.